Well, that was awful. The Atlanta Braves drop game 3 of the NLDS 10-2 to the Philadelphia Phillies, and now they face elimination in game 4 on Thursday. We'll discuss game 3 and preview game 4 on this episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Check out the podcast as well at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have. We've had a lot of good conversations, some a little out there in the last couple of days over the postseason, but I appreciate you interacting with me there on social media. If you're new on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button on this video as well. Make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast. On today's episode, we'll recap game 3, the disaster that it was, the pitching decisions, when is the offense going to wake up, all of that, and we'll preview game 4, obviously get to some of your comments for those who are here watching live, and thank you so much if you are part of that and doing that. Thank you so much to all our everydayers out there who continue to let me know in the comments section below. Really do appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by Jase Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jase case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. All right, I see the comments coming in. Everybody not particularly happy and thrilled with the way that game went. So let's break it down and let's talk about it and make you relive it again. Off to a great start on the mound, at least. I mean, Bryce Elder coming in, he looked fantastic through those first 2 innings. Bad part of it was Braves couldn't get anything going offensively. And one of the things I talked about, and I was on the Atlanta Braves baseball party on Locked On Sports Atlanta on YouTube on Wednesday. And one of the keys that I said there is the first 3 innings of this game. Do the Braves come out offensively, get an early lead, which they ultimately did, a 1-0 lead. But can they get that early lead, get those early runs on Nola, put the pressure on the Phillies, and Bryce Elder just kind of hang in there long enough? And he did good through 2 innings. And the Braves, like I said, did get that 1 run, but just couldn't really put up that crooked number in those first 3 innings to really put the pressure on Philadelphia. And then you had the 6-run 3rd inning, and we might as well just go there because that's obviously where the game just got out of hand. And like I said, Bryce Elder looked like Bryce Elder, the first half, those first 2 innings, and he was getting chases out of the zone. And I posted this on Twitter at the time. I said, second time around, be very cautious. Because if Phillies stop chasing that pitch out of the zone, or if he's not able to locate it down in the zone like he was those first 2 innings, you could see this thing flip very quickly. And I think that's what we saw happen. Another part of this, too, is early in that first inning, those first couple innings, they talked about on the broadcast that there was a big glare on the batter's eye out in center field, the early start time here. And you wonder for both offenses if that was affecting them at all and maybe helping Bryce Elder get some of those swings and misses on pitches way out of the zone, swings we really haven't seen from the Phillies in this series. But either way, that second time around, clearly you saw Phillies having better swings against Bryce Elder, and you also just saw him making bad pitches. Pitches that he left up in the zone. Now, you look at the ball Castellanos hit. It's a sinker, on the inside half. It was up, but that's a good swing. But then you look at, the Brandon Marsh hit. It's a slider left over the plate. You look at the Trey Turner hit. It was a sinker that was left up. It wasn't necessarily up, but it was middle of the plate. You look at the Bryce Harper home run. It's a slider that just I could have hit out of the ballpark. Literally, you look at the map of that where that pitch is. It is a slider, hanging slider, middle. So let's go to the decision and to leave Bryce Elder in this game. The way he looked through those first 2 innings, there had to be no thought of taking him out. At that point, look, I'm sitting there thinking, if this is the Bryce Elder we're going to get, we may get 5 innings out of him. And I'm sure if you're in that dugout too, that's what you're thinking. But the moment you give up the Castellanos home run, I think you got to get on the phone. The moment you give up the single to Marsh, you definitely got to be on the phone, because now you're getting back to the top of that order again. And you got all those lefties coming up. Whether you wanted to get, I would have gotten Brad Hand ready for Bryce Harper. I would not have because if that inning plays out to where it gets to Harper, then you're in big trouble. And you should know that. And you got to have somebody up and ready to go. And be interested to see, obviously we're recording this before all the post game. I'm interested to see Snitker's thought process. I just have to imagine he's thinking, this looks like the good version of Elder. This guy could go 4, 5, 6 innings if he really keeps this up. And I think that changed the philosophy of what it probably was coming in, where it was the moment he gets into trouble, pull the cord. And I think those first 2 innings probably, in Snitker's mind, gave him a little bit longer leash and probably let him, change the game plan a little bit. And that's a mistake. That can't happen. You got to have somebody ready. Like I said, if not after the Castellanos home run, then after the Brandon Marsh single. Somebody's got to be getting up for that just in case scenario, just in case this gets to Harper. You don't want to bring him out against Schwarber, give him a bat against Trey Turner. That's fine. But if this continues and it gets to Harper with runners on base, you better have a solution to give you the best chance of getting out of that. Or walk Bryce Harper. I know Bohm ends up getting a hit, but do not let Bryce Harper beat you. I said this coming into the series. There's 2 guys on this lineup, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper, that you just can't let beat you. And more so than Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, for one, you cannot let him beat you. And to pitch to him in that situation, I get it. But after you felt, again, I would much rather Alec Bohm hit an RBI single to left field than Bryce Harper, get a hanging slider and hit a 3-run homer. There are just so many things you could have done different in that situation that wasn't done. Whether it is to just pitch around Bryce Harper or whether it is to have Brad Hand ready to face him. I know Hand ended up giving up a homer to Harper. You can't predict those scenarios are going to play out the same way. That was Brad Hand after he sat down for half an inning and then got back up after he looked really good and got out of a jam when he came in. So just because Bryce Harper hit a home run off him later, you can't say that in that situation it would have been the exact same result. I would have had Brad Hand. I'd have had a lefty and a righty both throwing. And if that thing got to Bryce Harper, I would have had Brad Hand ready to come in, and I would have had a righty to come in case, Hand doesn't get out of it, and you can't have him facing too many right-handed hitters. So hindsight is what it is, but I think the way that Bryce Elder looked in those first 2 innings really changed everything in the mindset of Brian Snitker and that staff to think, okay, we'll give him a little bit longer leash now because of the way he looked in those first 2 innings. And I think that backfired because I think the 3rd inning just rolled out of control and they weren't prepared for it. And you leave him in for Bryce Harper, that's one mistake. And then you leave him in for Alec Bohm and Bryson Stott, and he allows those 2 guys to get on. Then you bring in Michael Tonkin. And I know a lot of people don't like this decision either. I get the Michael Tonkin decision. I'm not nearly as upset about that. And Eddie Rosario has to catch that ball that JT Realmuto hits. And I know it doesn't seem like a big deal now because it's a 10-2 final. But an average defensive left fielder gets to that ball and it's 4-1 instead of 6-1. 4-1 feels so much better than 6-1. And you probably manage the game a little bit differently from that point out. And I hear a lot of you, with your comments about the offense, where's the offense? Doesn't matter. If the offense doesn't get going, I get that. They had chances in this game. They had opportunities in this game. The 5th inning, you had Ronald get a hit, steal a bag. You had him in scoring position right there, a chance to score a run. I think the big one is in the 6th inning. This is the one that really kind of bugged me. You had a shot to get back in this game. You had 2 on. You had just scored. You made it 7-2, and Michael Harris comes up with a chance to extend the inning and give Ronald a chance with one swing to really get him back in this game, because that's what the Braves were looking for. They weren't going to be able to walk in single single it to death and get back in this game. They needed a 3-run home run to get back in this game. And you had an opportunity there, and Michael Harris comes up in that situation and swings at the very first pitch. That just cannot happen. And if it does happen, it needs to be a pitch you can absolutely crush, not a 93 mile per hour sinker that is bearing in on you. That's not good baseball. And look, Michael Harris is great defensively. The Braves wouldn't even be in this situation. They may be eliminated if not for Michael Harris and the play he made the other night. But he's not looking very confident at the plate right now, and that's just a situation that you just can't happen. With Acuna on deck, pitcher's got to be feeling a little bit of pressure there, even in a 7-2 game. Make him throw you some strikes and look for something out over the middle of the plate. Be a little bit more patient there. I just didn't love that at bat. And I thought that was the last real situation. I thought, okay, you get a hit here, or you walk and you get up and Acuna comes up, then you got a shot to get back in this game with one swing. After that, it was pretty much over from that point on. But AJ Smith-Shawver, just briefly touch on that. I thought he was good. Look, this will be another hot take. I wish the Braves never had to bring him up this year because the kid is so good, and I think he can be great. I hate that they had to force him up this year because there's obviously still some refinement that needs to be done there. And once he figures it out, right now I think he's just effectively wild, and his stuff is so good that he can get swings and misses. He can get weak contact. He has struggled, obviously, with the home run ball since coming up to the big leagues, but I wish he just would have had more time to get seasoned at the minor league level, and then, bring him up maybe next year when maybe he gets, some more of that consistency. But you can see the stuff is clearly there. Should have probably gone to him, a little bit earlier. But again, besides the point, like you're all saying, if the offense doesn't get going, 10 runs, the one maybe silver lining, you had 10 hits in this game. I mean, it was 11-10 in hits, but the Phillies had 6 home runs. And, this offense just has got to get it going. And you look at the top of the order here, 2 hits by Acuna, 2 hits by Albies, 2 hits by Riley, a hit by Olsen, 2 hits by Ozuna. Top of the lineup getting it done. There wasn't any home runs in there. It's really the bottom of the order. RC, the only one to get a hit from the bottom of the order in this one. So they got to get it going. Way too many strikeouts as well. 10 more strikeouts in this one. Offense has to get going. So a little bit of takeaways from game one. Me and Grant will have more on the postcast later this evening. So make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Sports Atlanta to get that. Also, it'll get the audio version in your Locked On Braves podcast feed. And next, I'm going to turn my attention to the comment section. We got a lot of people in here, a lot of comments flying off the board. But next, you have some questions, start submitting those, and I'll start looking for those in the comment question, and we'll talk about those here next. Don't get caught unprepared when disaster strikes. Make sure you have emergency medication ready. Jase Medical can help you be prepared. Their Jase case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. I ordered mine, got it in the mail not long after. Had some. My wife was just so surprised with the stuff that was in there and how great it could be in an emergency situation. And filling out the form was very simple. Some cases you might have to jump on a call with a board-certified physician, but from my experience, very simple process to go through to get your Jase case. Jase handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. All right, looking at the comment section here, we got some interesting comments going on. One thing I'll tell you, this is a game, and it's a game that I love, and it's a game I love covering. If you're gonna come in here angry and saying mean things and disrespectful things, I'm gonna just completely ignore you. I'm also gonna tell you there's more important things in life than baseball. I get it. I love this sport. I cover it every day, and I love it. There are things going on outside of this world that are far more important than getting upset over a baseball game. So just want to say that I'm not seeing a ton of that in my comment section. I see it more on social media, but you will quickly get ignored. Charles Berea says, do we stick with d'Arnaud or do we go back to Murphy? I think you go back to Murphy. I thought they would have went back to Murphy today, but Murphy caught game 1 against Strider. I would go with the defense. Outside of one swing, from d'Arnaud, he's been just as cold as Murphy. and he's better defensively, I go with Sean Murphy. The Bright Wolf, do you think the Braves win tomorrow? If so, what's your prediction? I certainly hope so, and I think they will, and I think they better. The one thing I'll say right now, and I'll probably end with this again, there's no more excuses. You want to use the excuse of the 5-day layoff or why you were a little sluggish coming into the series. I think it's completely legitimate. You cannot use that excuse anymore, and you cannot use the excuse you have an injured pitcher. That is not the case, unless there's something about Strider we're not aware of. Now it's time to put up or shut up. You've been the best team all year long. Go get it done. There's no more excuses out there. Go get it done. And again, I'll probably end with that again, but that's where it is at this point. You can make some excuses for that first game if you want to. Still should have won that game. Strider pitched great. Offense sluggish. Again, you want to blame that on the long layoff. I certainly think there's a case to be made. There's no more excuses. You were the best team all year long. Start playing like it. And it's got to happen right now. Daniel Norman will snip. Please play Murphy. Watching Travis Flail to plate is not fun. Yeah, I think you got to go back to Murphy at this point. Yes, thank you, Nathan. It's a game. It's a game I love, and I'm passionate about it. And I certainly will get in here, and I'll have passionate takes. But some of the stuff I see mainly on social media, it's just not. It's not worth your time. AA's fault for no pitching. All right, here's another one. I'm probably going to upset some of you on too. These are the two best pitchers, Fried and Strider, the Braves have had since Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz. Do you understand? The Braves have 2 top 10 pitchers, starting pitchers in all of baseball. They have the pitching to get it done. They got to step up and get it done. But I see these comments that can Alex go out and do more to help the pitching staff, maybe to get some depth. But you have 2 horses that are 2 of the best pitchers in all of baseball. You haven't had that since the Maddox Smoltz days. Jeremy Hudson, do you feel the layoff between the season and playoff game has had this much effect on the offense? Like I said, I think you can make that excuse for the first game or 2. I don't think you can make that excuse anymore, but certainly for the first game or 2 to get back into that rhythm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it has an effect. Raj says, Jake, besides the offense getting going and Strider pitching a solid 6 innings, what does the team need to do differently to win tomorrow? One thing I'm seeing in this series, and I would love for somebody to show me the stats out there if there's a way to easily find it. I don't remember the Braves offense struggling with high velocity fastballs this much during the regular season, both swinging and missing at them and just not being able to lay off of them. And it seems like the Phillies have really exploited that a lot in this series. And again, I think that's one thing that early in the series, you can kind of blame on the layoff. You're not used to, when you're not seeing 99, 97 at the top of the zone for 5 days, it's hard to get back in time to catch that up. But I just don't remember this Braves offense struggling with that this much. And a team that's one of the best teams in baseball at hitting fastballs. So they got to figure out something there, whether it's laying off those pitches or, getting on time to at least be able to foul them off. I think that's something that the offense has got to make an adjustment on. Is choking something that's disrespectful? I hate to call it a choke. Again, you're going to, any Phillies fans in here, and I know you're in here, and that's great. Thank you for joining the show. You're going to call me sour grapes. I hate that we play 162, and an entire season comes down to what you do in a 5-game series. And if you don't show up in those 5 games, nothing else matters. I think that's a little silly. And so it's hard to say that they choke. I don't know. I don't really know what that means. Are they not getting it done? Yes. I guess you could use different terms for that, maybe that are more appropriate than saying that they're choking. Sorry, going through the comments here. Give me a second as I read through some of these that don't need to be read. William the Worst, Pilar starts tomorrow. He definitely does. If a starter's on the mound, I think Pilar's out there. Look, Rosario's somebody that can be very streaky. And, I made the case earlier in the year before he went on a hot streak that I'd start Pilar every day. I would just go with the defense and save Rosario for a late inning situation. And I think that's probably what's best for this team right now. But Pilar probably will start, especially if they put Suarez on the mound. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Joseph Defenan saying, Jake, if you're RC, do you stare Bryce Harper right back? At least it may ignite your team. I hate this situation. I had Jake Mintz on from Cespedes Family Barbecue not long ago. Great conversation with him. I agree 100% with his comments on the postseason, how it's not meant to be fair. It's meant for entertainment and excitement, and I agree wholeheartedly with that. What he said and the way that he said it, it didn't need to. It's clickbaity. It's what it is. And look, I write headlines sometimes because I want you to be engaged and I want you to click on it and come watch these videos and have a conversation with me. It's part of being in the media. But to be in that locker room, and whether it was said or not, and if it was said, it just seems like something silly and out of character for Orlando Arcia to say. Even if he did say it, you have been given a privilege to be part of that locker room. And I don't know Jake Mintz's background, a journalistic background, whatever he may have. I do have a journalism degree. I've been in those spots. I've been fortunate enough to be in clubhouses before. It's a privilege to be in there and to be able to interview these players. And for you to take something possibly out of context that was said across the room and then portray it the way you do to the media, knowing what effect it's going to have, it seems, I don't know the right word to say it, and I don't want to call anybody names. It doesn't feel right to do something like that. And then the way that Fox ran with it, and they're seeing the attention they're getting from it, and continuing to make it a story. I feel bad for Arcia in this situation, and maybe he did say it, and if he did, then I guess he's got to know better while there are reporters around to say that. But now he is taking all of this heat for something that he may or may not have said. And if he did say it, he said it in the confidence of the locker room with his friends after a huge win. That's my biggest issue with all this, is now Arcia is taking major heat for this. He's got Bryce Harper staring him down, which Bryce Harper, come on, that's my feelings on it. I'm not going to talk more about it because I don't want to give it more light than it's already gotten, but I hate that situation that it's put Arcia in. All right, try to get to a couple more comments here. Sorry, I spent a lot of time on that. I didn't mean to. Logan Rasco, is this the wake-up call to go after pitching exclusively in the offseason? I kind of already hinted at that. The Braves are going into the next season with 2 of the top 10 pitchers, starting pitchers in all of baseball. They're probably going to get Morton back. Do you always need more pitching? Yes, you do. And the Braves had to go through 16 starters this year. Would I love them to go after some more starting pitching depth? Yes, but I still feel like if Strider and Fried are on their game and they get a healthy, Morton, I still feel like this pitching staff is good enough. The offense has to wake up. Sorry, reading through some comments here. Give me a second as I have to filter through some of these. William the Words, Fried will be better in Game 5. Yes, if we get there, I feel much better about Fried in a Game 5. Another question from Daniel on starting pitching going forward. I feel like I've already answered that. Jeffrey, what happened to Snit's short leash? We didn't hit today anyway. Again, that's what I kind of talked about in the first segment. I really think those first 2 innings from Elder shifted the mindset of Snitker and the coaching staff. They went from saying, let's have a short leash on Elder to, man, he looks locked in. How long can we get from him in this one? And, I think they slipped up for just 1 second, and it was long enough that they were not prepared when things came off the rails. See, Thomas saying layoff doesn't affect the Astros. I get that. It's not that it can't happen, but to say that it doesn't have some effect, I think is just naive, in my personal opinion. Hakeem, if you're going to hang a slider, why hang one to Harper? Yeah. Either walk him or have somebody ready to come in. Ethan, if we lose tomorrow, what do you think happens in the offseason? Well, I'll be here all offseason, so make sure you subscribe to Locked On Braves. We'll talk about it just about every day. Enigma says, hey, Jake, the score is not as bad as it looks. Look at the hit this game against their starters. They scored 9 off 2 rookies. Braves bats look like they're coming alive. Again, I think there's some truth in that. Look, Phillies won by 10-2. I don't care if they won by 15-2. They won. Braves are going to flush this one and go on to the next game. You can score as many runs as you want to in this one. We knew coming in, this was likely going to be a loss for the Braves. We knew that when this series started, that game 3 was a game that was not going to favor the Braves. Would I have loved for them to come in and win? Yes. In order to do that, they were going to have to slug their way to a victory. They weren't able to do that. But again, you want to kind of look at a silver lining. They at least racked up 10 hits in this game. Hopefully some of these balls start flying out of the ballpark a little bit more. But yes, Chia, no excuses going forward. They got to get it done. You got your 2 best pitchers coming in. Look, can the Braves win 2 straight against the Phillies? Yes, they did it a lot this year, several times this year. You have your 2 best pitchers. I just mentioned 2 of the best pitchers in all of baseball, in Strider and Fried. You have the best offensive lineup we've ever seen. Get it done. There's just nothing else to say at this point. Get it done. Jose says, I don't understand why they aren't playing the way they did in the regular season. I don't know. I wish I had the answer to that question. It does seem like they're playing a little tight, like they're playing the team that, shouldn't be here, doesn't deserve to be here. It's just, there's a lack of confidence there, but again, it can flip quickly. You saw it, after the Darno home run, you saw that belief come back in that dugout, and all it's going to take is one swing, one pitch in game 4, and you're going to have that belief back. I mean, in the postseason, it's all very much next pitch. We're not hitting. I'm not even going to go there. Ben, why Murphy defense? How? Because he gives you a better chance of throwing out base runners. It's an automatic steal when Travis d'Arnaud's behind the plate. And yes, they ran on Murphy in the first game, but yes, he also threw out a runner. And again, I just think he gives you the best chance of slowing down the run game. And I think he still gives you a good chance of running into one if he can find the ball for a minute. Josh, are you able to admit that we are destroying you guys all series? Yeah, absolutely. The Phillies are. The Phillies are absolutely destroying the Braves. Well, all right, let's take it back just a minute. Pitching wise, they've been destroying the Braves. You look at offensively, the first 2 games, the Phillies were handed 4 runs in those first 2 games. This is really the first game that this Phillies offense has exploded in a big way. So this is really the first game that the Phillies just destroyed the Braves. And if you would have asked me coming in, I'd have said, yeah, game 3 has the potential for the Phillies to destroy the Braves. We didn't know who we were starting, and we all knew it was likely going to be Bryce Elder, who hasn't been very good lately. Let's see, a couple more here. Wrinkled Towel says, what's the purpose of Vaughn Grissom? Good question. I think he's there if you needed another right-handed pinch hitter later in the game. Say you start the game with Kevin Pillar, and then you bring in Rosario to face a righty, and then later in the game they bring in a lefty to face Rosario, then I think Grissom would come in. So it's a very unique situation, I think, if Vaughn Grissom's going to come into a game this series. That question was asked quite a lot, so I'm glad I got to it there. All right, we'll leave it there. A lot of comments in here. We're almost up to 500 people again. Thank you so much for joining live, even after a tough loss. Thank you to all the Phillies fans joining the comments as well. Appreciate you jumping in here and having a conversation with us, hopefully a civil one. Again, it's baseball. I love it. I'm passionate about it. Let's keep it all civil and friendly. Let's have a good time with it. And so hopefully the Braves will have a much better time of things in game 4 with Spencer Strider on the mound. We'll talk about that here next. The NFL season is in full gear right now, and you can get in on the action at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. Got Major League Baseball postseason going on as well there. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Get ready get going with the NFL season. And again, MLB postseason. You don't want to miss out on the action. Also visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. It's an elimination game on Thursday. Spencer Strider goes to the mound. It's the ace for the Braves. And look, he's got to get it done. And he got it done in game 1. Game 1 is certainly not his fault. And that's kind of where I leave you here tonight. Just my final kind of thoughts and comments going forward. there are no more excuses. Again, I think legitimate, and some of you have asked this, I legitimately think the 5-day layoff is not great for the bats. And I think you can make that excuse going into game one, bats trying to catch up to speed, get the timing back. We're 3 games into this series now. You're down 2-1. There are no more excuses. Somebody said Acuna gave up. It's a 10-2 game. I don't want him pulling a hammy, trying to beat out a ground ball in the 9th inning. Let that go. But there are no more excuses. Get it done. You were the best team in baseball over 162. Nobody is doubting that. You were the best team in baseball all season long. You were the best offense we've seen. Now you got to get it done. There are no more excuses. We're 3 games in. I think we are seeing some improvement offensively. And I think, we could see this team come out and really put up a big number in game 4. And I honestly think they have to. Spencer Strider's got to be good. He's got to be great. But even more than that, I need to see this offense come out and put up a big number. I want to see Strider pitch great, yes. But even more than that, I want to see a game like what the Phillies had tonight. I want to see this Braves offense come out slugging the baseball, doing what they did all year long. And if they do that, Spencer Strider, he can go 6-7 innings, whatever. But if this offense doesn't come out and start showing signs with the bat, it's now or never. You got to get it done. So that's what I'm hoping to see in game 4 of this series. Again, I'm hoping for a great game from Spencer Strider. I think he's going to give us one. But even more than that, I need to see this offense put up some big numbers. I need to see them slugging the way the Phillies did in game 3. Do that, get it back to Atlanta, give Max Fried another shot, and I feel really good about the Braves' chances. So you got it lined up. You got your 2 aces, Strider and Fried. You got this offense. Get it going. It's now or never. Hopefully the Braves begin that stretch in game 4 and get it done and get things back to Atlanta. That will do it for this episode of a Locked On Braves. Make sure that you catch all the postseason action on SiriusXM with the XXM app. Thank you so much for joining me, whether live or watching the replay. Really appreciate it. All the comments. I know there's a ton of you in here live. I didn't get to your comments. Make sure you put it in the YouTube section down below. I'll make sure to read and comment to those. Again, thanks for listening, making us your first listen of each and every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.